are in listen-only mode.
All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get today's webinar started. Thanks everyone who's on the line and joining us for today's webinar. My name is Ari. I am the EMEA marketing coordinator for eFolder, based out of Berlin, Germany. And today's webinar brings together eFolder experts and staff for a deep dive technical discussion and to talk about how to set up file level backup in 10 minutes. And in order to do that, we're being joined by Dave Stuffelbeam, who is the Senior Manager of Sales Engineering at eFolder. So let's go ahead, and before we go through the agenda, let's just cover a few housekeeping items. Today's session will be recorded, and the recording will be made available on eFolder's YouTube channel. And we will also send out copies of the slides to all of you who registered for the event. We've put all participants in listen-only mode, so you can enjoy the audio portion of today's session either by using your computer audio or just by dialing in through your phone. And of course, questions are more than welcome. Do not hesitate. We have planned a special Q&A at the end of the session, but of course, you may just go along and use the Q&A log to raise any questions you may have. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, let me introduce Dave Stuffelbeam. Dave is the Senior Manager of Sales Engineering at eFolder. He brings over 20 years of technical experience in the channel community, with having worked at companies like Macromedia, NoAdobe, Novell, and StorageCraft prior to coming to eFolder. But Dave also consulted and demoed at companies such as Disney World, Walmart, Procter & Gamble, Boeing, and many more. So, hi Dave, and thanks for joining us from Salt Lake City, Utah, where it's slightly earlier than it is in Europe right now.
Yes, so I'm happy to be awake and be on with you, Ari. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. So first off, I would like to just introduce some high-level information on eFolder and show you some use cases for the partner channel community. And for many of you on the line, whether you are an existing eFolder partner or a prospect, much of this might not be completely news to you. When we are looking at client backup technologies today, we know that there is still a ton of legacy back out there that needs to get updated, right? And in order to do that, client budgets need to come in line with reality, because reality is that more and more data is getting highly distributed and needs to be protected no matter where it resides. Whether it's on a workstation, a server, or an employee's laptop computer, clients need to be ensured that their data is rest safely no matter where it is. Because there is a range of disasters that can strike and can affect your data privacy. On one hand, that could be hardware failures, user failures, or some kind of cryptolocker attack. But on the other hand, no matter where you're located, natural disasters can strike as well. It could be a flood hitting an office, fires, earthquakes if you're in San Francisco, and all of that can destroy critical client data and impact your clients' businesses. And now for a partner, of course, that does provide a variety of challenges. First of all, you have to make sure that your client data is protected, right? Because that's what they pay you for. And you need to make sure that their data is protected at all times, that it's resilient and not endangered to get lost. And then on the other hand, there's competition. There is a variety of vendors out there that sell directly to the companies, directly to the clients. eFolder doesn't do that. We work with partners only, and we're here to help you compete against those competitors. And our overall goal is to help you succeed with the range of backup and disaster recovery solutions, and to make those the most profitable ones that you offer. So that's just the overall context. And now just to give you an overview of the eFolder backup for files, backup is one of our oldest and biggest product offerings, which we supply to managed service providers and value-added resellers so that you can go and protect the data on behalf of your clients. And we call this a business-grade backup and disaster recovery service because of the range of features that clients can use. First off, there are scheduled backups that will enable business users to remotely monitor, manage, and report on backup jobs. And what you got to know here is, you have to know if the backup job occurred, when it was supposed to, and if it didn't, you have to be able to take actions. And in order to provide that service to all your clients, the solution needs to be scalable and manageable. Open file backup is another key differentiator because there's so many applications that never close or close infrequently because they're either, continuously being used or constantly being updated. But of course, you got to be able to back up that data as well, even if the application is open. So a main use case is to not only back up to the eFolder cloud, but also locally in order to quickly recover data, either locally in smaller disruptions or recover the data from the cloud in situations of larger incidents. And you can either do that by downloading it, have eFolder ship it to you on a disk, or you could even restore data to the eFolder Continuity Cloud, which is an on-demand cloud computing resource available to all eFolder partners and might be a good option in certain situations. So I talked about most of this already, but just to summarize what we mean by business cloud. When we talk about business cloud solutions, we mean that it has to be scheduled, it has to include open file backup, it has to have a rich versioning and retention capabilities that allow you to roll back to any known good states if ever there is a corruption of data. You got to be able to support local backups, and you have to have rich recovery options. All right. So this right here is just a screenshot of the user interface. So this is the eFolder Backup Manager, which Dave is going to walk you through in just a few minutes. And he will show you how to configure, monitor, and manage all of this for your clients. Just a couple other things about eFolder to give you some numbers. We currently have over 22 petabytes of data in our cloud today, and thousands of partners and client organizations that trust our data to eFolder. We are proud to report 100% SLA uptime and have demonstrated 99.9% reliability with our cloud infrastructure. In our data centers, we implement something called silent data corruption prevention, which is a proactive technology to create redundant copies of data that get backed up to us. And then proactively, when data gets corrupted, which it will get corrupted if you upgrade it, 22 petabytes of data, our tech team can just go in and repair that data because we do keep 3 additional copies of every byte that comes into our data center. So this piece of technology is really unique to eFolder and not something that is currently available to any of our competitors. And last but not least, something that makes our backup product unique is that it is a channel-ready product. And what we mean by that is that by design, it's multi-tenant, designed for scalable deployment by MSPs and VARs. So, you can organize a client's deployment by client A, B, and C, and then add different machines under each client to just quickly, logically organize and set their policies appropriately. And then monitoring, as Dave will show you in a second, is very easy and pretty straightforward once you get it all set up and configured. And another handy feature is that the eFolder portal does integrate with the common PSA and RMM integration features just to simplify the billing and ticketing progress for you. So we do offer ConnectWise integration, Autotask integration, and the like. And something that is not offered by many of our competitors is the white labelable feature. So we do let you put your own company name and your own logo on the solution, and that way help you, build brand identity and solidify client relationships. We also offer, just because I'm in marketing and I feel like I should mention that, we do offer a variety of marketing tools that are ready to sell and push out to your clients. Again, put your own logo on there and your own company name and That way, it just helps you market our solutions much easier and much simpler to your clients. So that hopefully gave you a good overview of how eFolder backup works and how it could benefit your clients. But of course, you're curious to learn how it looks in reality and how you could set it up for your own business or for your potential clients. So I'm going to hand over the word to Dave. Dave, I'm going to let you share your screen so you can take over and start demoing the product.
Awesome. Ari, let me know when you see my screen.
Yep, I do.
Very good, very good. So good afternoon, everybody. What the process that I want to show you first is kind of the whole solution. And we're going to take more than 10 minutes, but the overall process of actually getting a client configured and getting the product downloaded, installed, and then configured and uploading to the cloud is literally a 10-minute process. As part of a solution, or as when you become a partner of eFolder, you will receive credentials to what we call our partner portal, and you would log in, log into the partner portal, and you would log in as a parent account or an administrator account, and this would be the place where you're going to set up all of your customers that are going to use the eFolder file and folder service from you. There's all kinds of different things. We've got videos, there's reports and detailed reports and billing reports and ways to contact support and everything. I'll show you a little bit of those. I was going to say this morning because it's 6:40 in the morning for me. So if I say this morning, I'm sorry. I'll show you a few of that a little bit. But first, I want to show you is how to get somebody into the system very quickly. Get the software, downloading and getting it configured. So from the main web portal, you're going to go into Accounts and into the Account Center. Now, keep in mind, that's where I was before. Sorry. Keep in mind, this is where you're going to be able to see a status of all of your accounts, the ones that are backing up. Green is good, red is bad. We actually need to pay attention to something that might be happening with these two accounts. Yellow is something that might be bad, but it might need human attention, or it might solve itself as well. So it's color-coded to help you to quickly just come in, look at everything, see what's happening. We do have more accounts here. We're seeing 20 of 33 accounts, and you can change this to say, show me upwards of 500 accounts, so you're not flipping through pages. And this is a real-time status. So if one of these accounts changed and I hit refresh on this board, you're going to see a change here if one of these accounts goes into red. Now, one of the things that Ari was talking about was the PSA integration. I just wanted to show you quickly with that. We do have the AutoTask and the ConnectWise integration. If you do have a different PSA, work with our support. We should be able to get stuff at least communicating in to the PSA one direction, maybe not both directions, or opening and closing tickets, but both our AutoTask and ConnectWise PSA integration will submit billing information as well as ticketing information. The cool thing about our web portal is as you install the Backup Manager software, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute, the web portal here is going to expect backups. So this acts as a secondary set of monitor for the backups. For instance, maybe you install this on a laptop at a client site, and that laptop, they go on a vacation, they shut it down, they close the lid, and they go off for a week. Well, the web portal, by default, is going to expect a backup within at least 3 days or every 1 day, depending on however you set that up. And it'll start to alert you if something comes in, if a backup manager goes offline and it's no longer backing up, because it's our philosophy that no news is not good news. So this acts as a second set of eyes for the backups. All right, let's go ahead and start creating a new account here. I'm going to go to the new account wizard. Now, keep in mind, if you guys get in here and you get into the account list. Well, there's like two or three ways to create an account. The create account wizard, I would try to avoid using this. There are some additional features here that you can still access with the other one. It's just that it's a lot more cumbersome and a lot more, you have to know things going into it, where if you come over here and just hit new customer in the account center, hit new customer, and it's a three-step wizard, and it's really, really easy. So we're going to do a new account for a new customer. You also can create sub-accounts for existing customers or a new parent account for existing customers. We've got documentation and training materials to go in deep on this, but typically if the customer has not been put in at all, you're going to create a new account for that customer right then. But if they already have an account and maybe you're adding a second machine, you could then go ahead and create a sub-account for that customer without having to add in all of the extra, the customer information and everything else. So we're going to go ahead and create a new customer. We're going to call this Ace Hardware, Bob Green, and I'm just going to put in, some information here to fill all this in. Anything that is asterisk is required. Now, keep in mind, Ari said that we're channel only. We don't sell to your customers, and if you've been burned by another vendor before and you don't trust anybody, you can put whatever information you want here. A lot of partners will put their email address, their address in, just so it's uniform across the board, but that way they get notifications instead of the customer. If I put the customer's email address in here and something goes wrong with the backup, it'll actually send alerts as well to the customer too. So that might be a feature that you want too. Okay, I think we're good enough. I'm not Eastern time, I'm Mountain time, but that doesn't matter. Okay, we'll just pick Alaska. All right, so there are several different plans and things that you'll be able to see here. And again, some of this is for some of our other products, which you can learn more about from our website. But there are two types of file and folder accounts. There's select and basic, and I think actually, and Ari, I don't know for EMEA if we've done this, but I think in the US we've consolidated that it's both one account now, but I don't know if we've done that for Europe. So I'm just going to talk about select because I think that might be the case.
Yes.
The select.
Sounds good.
What was that?
Yeah, do that. Sounds good.
Okay. The select account gives us the ability to have unlimited retention throughout the life of the contract or the life of that account. So if for compliancy reasons or the customer just wants to keep 7 years worth of data or infinity amount worth of data, the select plan gives you unlimited retention or unlimited version control and retention, as well as the ability to back up open files like Ari talked about a little bit ago. If you have a customer that has a Exchange server or SQL server or what have you that it needs to be backed up and back up the Exchange database files or what have you, the select plan is what's going to allow you to do that. For the username, I usually recommend like customer name dot machine name, because this has to be unique across all of eFolder, not just not your partnership, but all machine accounts for eFolder. So I usually, again, customer name dot machine name. So we'll just call this, if I can type here, and we'll just type in a password. Okay, and then description and internal description. If you want to put comments in here that your customer cannot see if they happen to get logged into the web portal, make sure you use internal descriptions, and then only you and eFolder can see it. And then there are quotas. So depending on how you sell this, if you sell this in 100 gigabyte blocks and your customer pays for 100 gigabytes, you don't want them to use a bit more than 100 gigabytes, you can put a 100 gigabyte quota in here, and the backups stop cold at 100 gigabytes. They'll have to call you. You'll have to sell them more space. Most of our partners will do a kind of a, upload as much as you want, and I'm going to bill you till you bleed kind of a model. So it just depends on your business model. I actually recommend leaving it infinity because there's ways under the account settings over here to actually set up what's called soft quotas, where you start to get notified as they encroach on a limit, but it doesn't stop the backups. Stopping the backups, as I already said before, you're being paid to protect their data, and you don't want to put them in a spot where they're not being protected. So here's our account, acehardware.exchange. It's a select account, and I can double-click this and get more information at the bottom, and look at different contact information here. But that's how we get a customer in. Fairly simple. Now we're at the customer site. How do we get the software on? So if you mouse over support and go to download software, we do have different flavors here. I'm on a Windows 64-bit operating system. We do have Linux and Mac OS clients. However, I'm going to be upfront with you now. These are command line only. The Windows is the only one that has a graphical user interface or a GUI. The rest of it is command line only. Still works the same. You just have to get into the command line and run through certain wizards via the command line, but it backs up the same, just command line only. And most Mac users, because they're so graphical user heavy on the Mac side, they typically don't like that. Linux users usually don't care. So select your operating system. Agree you're not going to give it to any bad people in the world. I'm kidding. Just agree to the agreement there and download that. So, and notice here that it's downloading setup-advise-to backup. So this is actually downloading my white labeled version of this. In fact, you can see here that this is just a fake MSP that we've made up, AdviseTech, with our own branding and everything. And you'll see here that when I install this, we're going to have a branded version of this as well. So let's go ahead and get this installed really quick. And it was set up advise-to, downloaded this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're at. And I'm getting the user account control here, so we'll go ahead and hit yes. And let me drag, got two monitors here. We'll drag the install over. And again, notice the white labeling here. And it's going to uninstall in the white label directory. So again, whatever your company name is, whatever the branding, the coloring, the logo, you can work with our branding department to get that set up for you. It's actually fairly cool. We'll go ahead and install this. And keep in mind that the installer and the backup manager software doesn't require an install or require a reboot. However, if there is a piece of technology that is required for the server or the machine that you're protecting, in fact, this just popped up on my other monitor. It appears that the Microsoft MSVC 2005 runtime is required. It's 4 megs. We'll go ahead and download it. It's probably going to finish before I get it over there. And so this is actually requiring me to install just one or two more components here. It's those components that could cause a reboot when you're installing, or even updating. So be aware that depending on the technology or where you're installing this, you may want to plan for a possible reboot. Most likely, I've never had to reboot it, but you just want to be prepared. You don't want to be rebooting machines in the middle of the day. Okay, here we go. Let me drag this over. So we have the here's the backup manager. I'm going to talk more about this here in just a second, but we're going to put our account credentials in that we just created. And so that was acehardware.exchange and the password. And we're going to go ahead and tell it to test the connection. And I must have typed something wrong. Hold on just a second. That's easily fixed. I'm just going to go get the copy and paste because I just might have, yeah, I mistyped it in there. You'll see here in just a second. So pay attention. Now I could take a minute and fix and get the V out of there and fix that. For time's sake, we're just going to roll with it. But I could change that account name in the web portal. I don't have to live with that mistake there. Okay. So my password is temporary and needs to be changed. So we're going to go ahead and give it the old password. Now, when I created it, I could have checked a box that said make it permanent. And I would have been okay. I wouldn't have had to do that. So it's saying I have a weak password. Thanks. I'm being insulted by my own software. Okay. So the first things first, we've got our account in, we've tested, we are talking to the eFolder cloud. Now let's talk about these three destinations for data. Depending on where you are in Europe and depending on your, for lack of a better word, your country data borders, if you're in the UK or if you're in England, if I've heard of a rule, if data originates there, it has to stay there. So depending on the rules of where you live, this gives you the option to comply with this. The remote server will always back up to the eFolder cloud. Now, we do have a data center in Amsterdam, and we have 2 data centers in the United States and 1 data center in Canada. Any data that originates in Europe automatically goes to the Amsterdam data center. However, if you're in a country where you have country data borders, where it has to stay in, you as a partner can set up if you have your own colo or fast pipes at your place, you can set up a server to receive incoming data at your place to keep it within the country borders. And that's we've got documentation around that. But to quickly do that, you would actually install the backup manager software on the machine you want to receive in your own data center. And underneath that, there is the local backup server, and you would just launch the local backup server on the machine that you wish to be receiving the data on in your data center. Open up port 5470 on your firewall, pass it to this one, and then your customers could back up to you instead of the eFolder cloud as well. So again, there's more information about that on our website. We don't have too much time to go into that today. But keep in mind, you would put that credential here to represent another server. It still would be a remote server to the customer, but this one needs to be the eFolder cloud for verification, and then your server would go here. And then when we choose our data, we just tell it, don't go to the remote server, go to the local server. And I'll show you that here in just a second. One of the things that has to be done as well is creating a passphrase. So we'll go ahead and just show this. This encrypts the data. Our data centers will not accept any data that is not encrypted. And so we have to encrypt the data before it comes in. So I'm just creating just a random passphrase. I recommend that you choose a passphrase that you're going to use either across all your customers or just to your customer. And then we have the option of storing the passphrase on the server in case it's forgotten. And what happens is when you store it on our server, it's doubly encrypted. And this security question comes up, or these questions come up. So we're going to say, Dave knows the answer to these questions. And you have to choose at least a minimum of 3 questions, and the answers have to be equivalent to more than 15 characters when you add them all 3 up. So you could, and again, if you put in like January 1, 2015 or whatever, it's going to recognize that as a string, not a date field. So just remember what you're typing here. Give me just a second here. Okay, so I would have to enter these exactly. I think mine is case sensitive there. But again, you can even choose your own questions as well. So this is going to, again, encrypt my passphrase with those answers and now put them in the eFolder cloud so that they can be recovered. Now this is asking, do I want to save the passphrase to a file and so I can recover it later? And I recommend that you do and you store that somewhere. In this case, we don't have time for that, so I'm just going to say no. All right, let's go take a look and grab some files here. A lot of people want to run over here, and I clicked on the folder here if you missed that. A lot of people want to run over here and just click Add. I recommend using the Visualize. And the Visualize, let me go ahead and expand this, gives you your entire tree structure of your machine. You can see all the different drives if they're mapped network folders. So you can back up mapped network drives with this account as well. Just kind of as an added bonus feature there. So I'm just wanting to grab everything in the documents directory here, so I can do a high-level check and just start at the top level of that, or I could expand this and then start to go ahead and grab the files and folders that I want. So I'm going to just go ahead and let me sit there. Let's just grab this for time's sakes here. So I'm selecting the parent folder, and now I can come in and uncheck things that I don't want, like the My Received files from the Skype business. I don't want that. But also what it's going to do is give me the ability to see how much I have actually selected here as well. So you can see here this one folder has over 4 gigs worth of data. So this is going to help you also down here, you're going to upload about 4 gigs worth of data. That way you can give your customer an estimate, and there's not really any surprises at the end of the day when the bill comes, okay? So just real easy to add files and folders. There's also ways to add filters on this to say, okay, you know what? I don't want to back up. Let's say that these Word documents are actually video files or MP4s or what have you. I could come in here and add an exclude rule, and this happens to be an RTF, but I could say exclude any RTF in this folder or any folder. So if I click this, it's going to add a rule to this, and you can see here automatically it's filtering out these 2 files. And if I had RTFs in any of these subdirectories, it would filter that out as well. You can also get to that policy by going and editing that policy, and you can see that here too. Again, we've got full training videos on this. I know Ari's probably like, hurry up, so we're going to go faster now. So we're going to set the schedule. So we have the daily or manual and how many times per day. So a lot of our partners will say, okay, we want to start this at 8 a.m. and back up every 2 hours or every hour until midnight or what have you. So this starts and will run every hour on the hour until midnight. And there are other options here that we're going to skip, and we'll say, yes, save the changes and continue. Now, if you would like to receive notifications from the software it's here, or have this send your customer notifications, which most of our partners will use this to send notifications to the customers based on what's happening, you can do that. You just put an outgoing SMTP server here. This is where we get into the versioning control, and this is what can cause a surprise bill if you're not paying attention. If you're backing up an Exchange server, 10 times a day for, say, a year, but you're also keeping a year's worth of historical changes, that's a whole lot of data that you're keeping in the cloud. You might not want that, so you can choose to scale this back and say, okay, I only want to keep 180 days worth of historical versions or changes of this data that I'm backing up. Okay. Another important feature here is, there's another feature here in the folders I need to show you here. We'll go back to that. The bandwidth tab. So I can come in here to my customer and say, Monday through Friday, this is their start time, this is their close time. They're a hardware store. They open at 8, they're closed by 6. So I know I'm good to start, that's the time of day that I want to back up their point of sale system. So I can also choose during their off hours to go ahead and max out their pipe during the, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then maybe choose high during the day or low. But I also can come in here and edit the low value. Maybe they have a pretty good pipe and say, I want to use 300 kilobits per second instead of, the 50 that's there. So pay attention to that as well. And then if you have customers that think they're tech savvy and they're not and they get themselves into a lot of trouble, you can actually lock this software down and say, go ahead and require a password, and then it requires the password to this account that we used to connect to the eFolder cloud. And then if you never give them that password, they can at least come in and view things. They just can't change things. Okay, so there was one other thing that I wanted to show you here. Under the folders, I told you about, if you have those data borders and you don't want the data going to Amsterdam, you can uncheck the globe here, and then this would just send it to your data center if you have set up that local server. Again, if you have to do that, contact eFolder will help you out with that. It's really easy. One or two more things here. The control panel. Control panel gives me the ability to view files that I have backed up to the cloud already. This one doesn't have anything, so I can't really show this at this point. But if I need to recover files, I can either come into the file manager software, log into it, and I can even delete data. So if I need to recover, I can go into this. If I need to delete, I go into this. And you're the only one that could delete data out of the cloud. eFolder will not have access to your data. So if you're like, oh, I uploaded 85 gigs worth of videos, I need to get that out, don't call eFolder to do that. You just come into the destroy data, go grab that folder, and purge it out of the system. And then you can also, there's actually a really cool thing called the disk usage inspector, and that will give you the ability to kind of go in and look at the system that's backing up. And if you end up with more data in the cloud that you thought you needed or thought you had, this is a good tool to help you kind of cruise all of that. And then the system status is going to show you anything that is going on right now, like a current backup, the log, and the history of the backups, plus the ability to run reports, email reports, save reports, and give those to your customers. So, that's fairly quickly how to kind of get everything set up. I know that was kind of scattered, and I'm sorry about that. Let me show you one cool place here, and then Ari, I'll shut up and turn it back to you. But in our partner portal, as you come on to be a new partner with eFolder, under our support and partner center here is a huge, huge resource of information. And first off, we have the Learning Center, which is going to give you, the backup for files, eFolder University, everything that I just showed you, plus hours and hours of more training and content here is right here. And I think I recorded most of these, so if you want to listen to me more babble, here you go. But also below that is under our partner documentation. We have a ton of documentation as well. One last portion that I wanted to talk about as well is under the partner notifications. This is where you can set up custom notifications, either going to your PSA or going to you or going to a PSA that we don't work with. You can have it send an email, put that email address, and you probably don't want OK events and warnings, but you definitely want errors. So keep in mind, you can set the web portal. As the backup manager software has a problem, it communicates to the web portal. I have a problem, then the web portal can communicate to you as the partner to get in here and fix things. So those are the highlights. I know I took more than 10 minutes, but hopefully that was informative. And Ari, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Let me just
You're welcome.
make myself the presenter. Perfect. So yeah, thanks Dave for walking us through the setup and explaining how the dashboard worked. Let me just, before we wrap this up, I would like to just give you a quick idea of the pricing model that we have. So we price per gig, and we have a peer pricing approach. We usually charge 24 pence per gigabyte with a minimum of 2 terabytes of storage. But as a thank you for taking the time and joining today's webinar, listening in, we provided you with a special offer charging 18 pence per gigabyte. So watch out for the emails that we'll send out following this webinar, and our product specialized team will get in touch with you to see if you have any questions left or would like to schedule demos, etc.
And Ari, can I point out there that pricing is for when you send the data to the eFolder cloud?
Exactly.
If you have data borders and you can't send the data to Amsterdam, the charges are different.
Right.
And our product specialists can tell you about that. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so that concludes our session for today. I would like to open the floor to any questions that the audience has to see if we can get those answered. No questions? You explained it really well, Dave.
Or I put everybody to, they're as tired as I am at 7:13 in the morning, and I put them all to sleep.
Or that. Nope, I don't see any questions. If anyone can think of any questions after this webinar is wrapped up, feel free to send us an email. We'll be in touch with everyone. But until then, just thank you for joining today's session. It was great having everyone on the line. Oh, just one more question. Is there a Mac GUI in the pan? Is a question that Rafi is asking.
You know, that's a really good question, and the answer is hopefully someday. I've been with eFolder now over 3 years, and that hopefully someday hasn't come yet. So I wouldn't count on it anytime soon. Our Mac install base is so tiny that I don't know if it'll ever happen. But it is, if the Mac install base increases, then yes. But okay. I know it's kind of the double-edged sword. If I don't create the GUI, the Mac install won't increase too.
Right. Okay. Well then, thank you everyone. We're going to wrap this up now. Have a great rest of the week. Dave, have a great rest of your Thursday, or a great start.
Thanks. Thanks, sorry.
Okay. Well, bye-bye everyone.
Bye.